Hello, good evening, and welcome to Books and Bush Tea. This is where we get to talk about really good books and enjoy ourselves with hot tea in an evening and just enjoy yourselves. So, this evening, I'm super excited because I don't know if you all saw my Instagram post, but I fell in love with a book. And this happens to me sometimes, but this week I ordered a book because I've been seeing it's kind of been haunting me. Like you see a book that's on your Instagram all the time. You see people doing reviews of it, reviews of it, reviews of it. So I reached out to Kayla, who was on the show last week. She's like, "Have you read this book?" And she said to me it was one of her favorites ever and it had no spice in it. So it must be a very good book for Kayla to like it, and it didn't have any spice. I fell in love with Red Rising. I got a copy of it on Monday and I finished it, I think, this morning, super early this morning. And it's one of those books that just kept me awake. Really, really gripped me. Wonderful, wonderful book. So, and as you know, I always give you a bit of a start, a update on how the reading went for the week. But it was really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. I also finished this one sometime. I think I might have finished it before, right after we had that we had the episode last week. I finished The Wedding People, which was one of my library books. And I also finished a couple of other ones. The Handbook of Yoruba Religious Concepts was one that I was reading for research for a book that I am writing. And it's going to be a really fun episode this week because we're going to be talking with someone who's an old hand at this. But the Handbook of Yoruba Religious Concepts, so it was a pretty short one, but it was interesting because the Yoruba religion is like the origin of Obia and Voodoo and Shango and Santeria, and I think even Espiritismo is kind of influenced by the Yoruba religious concepts. So that was very interesting. And now I'm going to be starting this one, which is going to be much more closely related to what I'm writing, which is the 21 Divisions, Mysteries and Magic of Dominican Voodoo. And this is in English, so I'm super happy about that. But I think I would read this even if it wasn't Spanish. It's a good one by the sounds of things. It's been recommended to me by actual practitioners of voodoo for me to learn how to express this in the book that I'm about to write. So that's my nonfiction writing. I'm still working my way through a people's history of my nonfiction reading. I'm still working my way through a people's history of the United States, which is, I feel like it's weird. It's hard to read that while you're watching everything unfold in the US right now because of just how like connected to the origins of the United States as a nation, as a country, this entire experience is. It's been a real rough ride for me. So I haven't really made a lot of progress in that book, but I am reading it with a pencil and with like my sticky markers so that I can annotate it as I go, because there's so many really powerful things to learn. But I also finished, oh my goodness, I really had a good week because I also finished, I'm just checking my notes. I also finished A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. That was my bedtime reading this week. And I've started one of my old ones that I have on repeat again, which is Between. So now that I've finished A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, I'm back to Between. But I'm just dying for L.L. Starling to put out the second book for Between, because I feel like I keep going back to that book because it's a world that I would just love to live in. This is the thing about fantasy. It's a world that you get to live in. These are your backup worlds. For those of you who are new here, I would love to connect you to because our show is just one moment in time in the week. But if you actually follow us on Instagram, you actually get a lot of really interesting stuff throughout the week. I repost stuff from I repost quite a lot from my book community, because I follow a lot of book talk and Bookstagram folks who have been a really big influence on my own reading. And I give recommendations even outside of my own genres. As you will probably know this already, but I've always been a heavy fantasy reader. I'm like my niece. She says, I don't want to read all the stuff they have us reading in school. They want us to read about real life. I want to read about dragons. So the chip didn't fall too far from the block on that one. I love myself some dragons. So you'll see a lot of my own recommendations and my own reviews on the stuff that I'm really comfortable with reading. But you will also know if you follow me on Goodreads, which I've actually put on Facebook this week. I just started my own. I was just telling Elke about this. I just started or applied for my Goodreads author page, which is exciting. You'll be able to find my book on Goodreads. It's already there and it already has reviews on Goodreads, but my author page hasn't been up there. So that's something I applied for this week. So my week has been a good one for the literary side of things, and I really hope that I hear more from you guys during the week, because the Instagram is picking up quite a lot of activity and chatter. But you can always email me. So one of the things I wanted to put out this week was, for those of you who are not social media people, don't be shy to send us an email. Just give us any feedback that you have on the show, or send us any book recommendations that you want to make, or tell us what kind of book recommendations you want. I'm going to put some guidance up on the screen. You'll see at the very bottom, my email is showing up there, the Books and Bush Tea email, booksandbushtea@gmail.com. You send us a note anytime and you're going to get a response that day, because we are very active in that email space, as well as on our Instagram. So you can send us an email to booksandbushtea@gmail.com, or you can just join us on Instagram, which is at Books and Bush Tea Show. So on our Instagram, we're pretty active as well. So you'll get really fast responses. Now, for our show today, I would love for you. We had some comments last week, so I'm going to keep this ticker going. We had some comments last week from some of our listeners who want to know how to get into writing a book, looking for advice on how to get started in writing and getting some ideas. And that's a really cool, I was super excited when we got the questions in, because I'm like, guess what? We have someone who can answer those questions coming on this week. Today, we're going to have a wonderful guest join us. Elke is one of my favorites. I actually met her through writing. She was actually coaching people through their writing, and on how to write books and how to structure your writing. And I met her through a community that was built up around writing. It was somehow connected, I think, to Next Chapter, which was at the time Books and Bush Tea. Books and Books, not Books and Bush Tea. But Elke once dreamed of becoming the next Nora Roberts, and she, traveling the world on book tours. And these days, she is happy channeling her imagination into writing stories and compelling characters across multiple genres. I know her mostly for her romance work, particularly early on. A mother of two, she loves superhero movies just as much as romance, and she thrives on structure, deadlines, and systems. Without them, her overactive brain tends to run wild, which is a great thing for an author. It sounds great, but then you need to channel it. Elke writes for readers who believe love is powerful, intuition is real, and hope can exist even in the darkest moments. And we need some of her in this world. Her stories blend romance, suspense, spiritual depth, where love is tested, truth is uncovered, and healing is always possible. When she's not writing, she enjoys connecting with her readers at book events and sharing her love of storytelling. So I'm going to welcome to the stage Miss Elke Feuer, one of our own. She is a prolific writer with 8 books under her belt and another one in the oven. Welcome, Elke.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Now, we couldn't set this show up and not have you on. Like you were on my list I was checking my Instagram list that I was planning to add to this list of guests that we have going out throughout the year, and had to have Elke on because you were one of the first people who I saw teaching others how to write books. Yeah. And you did it locally. Like you were a coach, a writing coach for quite a number of years, right?
I was almost 10 years actually. Yeah. Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just something I really enjoy doing. I know in Cayman there really wasn't sort of that support of how to get started, how to get published. What do you do to get connected. And I really wanted to bring everybody together. And I realized there were so many writers on the island, and I just really wanted to connect everybody and give them the information that they needed in order to succeed.
Fair enough. And you did a good job of it as well. Because I remember I actually went to some of your early sessions
Mm-hmm.
at Next Chapter, which was Books and Books at the time. But I'd love to hear your origin story because you're a superhero fan, right? So you know the origin story, the power of the origin story. How did you get
Absolutely.
into this?
I actually have been writing like literally my whole life. I'm going to date myself here and say that I wrote my first book on a typewriter with ribbon when I
Oh my
was 9 years old. Yes. So I've always wanted to be a writer, and I started sending out submissions to publishers when I was about 17, 18, got hundreds of rejection letters. But I actually got one that provided information of, here's what you can do. And it really encouraged me to start learning more about the industry, because there really wasn't that opportunity in Cayman at the time. So I signed up for online classes, and I ended up going to a writing conference. And that just completely changed my life. That was in 2012. And I was actually able to pitch my book to a publisher. And I actually pitched to, I think it was, I can't remember the name of it. It was too many years ago, but it was one of the big ones.
Mhm.
And they requested a copy of my manuscript. And I sent it, and they rejected it. And I was devastated, but I was so thrilled with the experience of going to the conference. I learned so much, and it really still encouraged me to keep going. And sure enough, my girlfriend, my best friend, Katie, you probably know her, Katie Crowley. She actually forwarded me an email about a new publishing company that was starting up. And I applied, and they came back and said, yes, we would love your story. Send it to us. And they agreed to publish it. And it was like, oh my God.
Oh, that's so cool.
So that was a traditional publisher. And they actually got bought out by Simon & Schuster, which
Okay.
that was really exciting for a short while. But that didn't work out the way that I had hoped, unfortunately, because that division got shut down. But I went to another conference, I believe it was in 2013 or 14, and I met one of my favorite authors. She was doing a presentation, and I actually got to talk to her. I have a picture with her. I mean, it was just an amazing experience. And one of the things she said to me, and she'd been in the industry like 30 years, and she's like, you really want to explore indie or freelance publishing, which at that time it was just starting to pick up. It wasn't that popular. And she's just like, with the direction that she saw things going, she really encouraged me to go in that direction. And that's kind of how I got into doing self-publishing. And I did my first one, and it was, oh my God, a challenge. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really was.
What was it? Was it the marketing? What made it challenging?
I think it was, I didn't realize how many moving parts there were involved, because it was a matter of, finding editors. I was fortunate enough that I was in groups where I had connections to people that were able to recommend people that they used, but there was still pitching them, interviewing them, finding somebody to do my book cover, because I am not a designer in any way, shape, or form.
I hear you.
That's not my artistic flair. And also, even a book formatter, things that you don't think about, like your book has to be formatted a certain way. And so it was just sort of finding all of these people and, making everything kind of work, and you're required to do a lot of it yourself, or you find somebody who can do it for you. So it was really time consuming. And then the marketing side, to be honest, when I was with the traditional publisher, when they said, here's the date that your book is going to be out, and then they basically just emailed me a 300-page book called Guerrilla Marketing and say, hey, you're the best person to market your book. And I'm like, what? A lot of people don't realize that. Yes, unless the publisher thinks that you are the next Stephen King or whatever, they'll back you. But they still require you. A lot of publishers will still look at like, what's your online presence? You have an email list, like that you are serious and looking at this as a career and not your an author hold up, which we all wish we could do, hold up in a room just writing somewhere, and then we can send it off to somebody to do everything for us.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
not the traditional publishing world at all. So that was interesting. Now, having said that, I was fortunate for them. I think they picked like 3 to 5 books that they actually promoted, like in newspapers, things like that. My book got chosen for that. So I was very fortunate in that respect. So I did get that kind of promotion and step up in regards to publishing or marketing from the publisher. But to be honest, other than that, a lot of it was just myself setting up my own website and doing all that. So there's a lot, starting your Facebook page, connecting with readers. There's a lot of it you're doing yourself, even with a traditional publisher. And I think that's something a lot of people don't realize. But yeah, so that was kind of my experience. And then after I kind of went through that learning curve and with traditional publishing, I realized that even with all the challenges, I did like the control of it and being able to make decisions about things. So that part of it, I love, and I still love. So I don't think that will change. I mean, occasionally I think, oh, well, maybe I'll find an agent and, give them something. Then I'm like, do I really want to do that? I'm not sure. So I think for the moment, it's going to be self-publishing for now, for sure. Or indie author, as they call it these days. Yeah.
Listen, I mean, I saw something recently. I think it was it was either on Substack. Are you on Substack?
I am not. I just recently found out. I mean, I've heard of it, but I'm not on it. No.
Oh my goodness, it's a whole world on there. It feels like it's the ecosystem for authors right now, because you're having almost like magazine type publishing. So people who are kind of like indie reporter type work as well is being done on there. A lot of op-eds and so on. But every magazine, every publishing house, almost all of the agents are on there as well. But I can't remember where I saw this, because it really wasn't the point, but I saw something recently, it might have been on Substack, where they were talking about what the year of publishing looks like in the US. And it looks like they're actually cutting back on almost all of the publishers are cutting back budgets on publishing right now. And so that just tightens the competition for anyone who's actually going to make it through that net. And I have to ask, do you think it helped you to start with a commercial type traditional publishing route in order for you to then go indie and build on your success? Or do you think that it would be wise to start as an indie author?
I think that's a question for the individual author, to be very honest. And this is a question that I know that I've answered for clients because they asked me the same question. I think I love the fact that I went the traditional route. It was just a huge learning experience for me, and it was just a wonderful experience. 99% of the time, I was very fortunate in that regard. But at the same time, there's a lot that you're sacrificing as well, too. You're sacrificing a lot of your income. Like I got a paycheck twice a year, whereas as an indie author, I get a paycheck every month. So there's that. And then it really depends on your personal journey, like what you want for your author life. Like if it's, that's important to you, that you want to be, with a traditional author, and that's the route that you want to go, you want to have an agent, you want to do that route, then I say, if that's something that's important to you and that's the route you want to go, I say go for it. At least try it, if nothing else, for the experience of even just going through the process of pitching, and whether it's pitching an agent or pitching a publisher. I think that in itself, learning those skills is important.
Yeah, I hear you.
For sure. I don't ever regret going down that route. That was just, I learned a lot. However, having said that, if you are an individual who is like, you're bootstrapped, you're ready to learn, go behind the scenes, you're ready to get in the nitty gritty of things, and you don't mind, doing a lot of the stuff yourself or finding people who can help you for the skills that you don't have, then I would definitely say go the self-publish route. Okay. You can try it. You can just publish one book, or try to publish a book. And
Mhm.
if you don't enjoy the experience, then you at least know, hey, this is not for me. Or you could say, wow, I really love this experience. I love doing this myself, because I also know self-published authors who have actually gotten success as a self-published and then were picked up by traditional publishers. And
Yeah.
they are what you call hybrid authors, which that is, in a sense, kind of my dream, which is where you have people that are your self-published as well as traditionally published, and you have that
Mhm.
flexibility now, because I think years ago you didn't really have that flexibility. You like pitched your book and then you kind of had to sit and wait, and God knows how long it had to be before you heard back, and you couldn't pitch to other people. So it's a whole different industry now. There's a lot more flexibility, and I think that you should explore each one to see, first of all, know what you want for your writing life for yourself. And if you're
Yeah.
not sure, I would say explore each one and just really discover what is a good fit for you and what you want. And the truth is, even if you go down that route, chances are you're going to change direction anyway. That's one of the things
Yes.
that I learned. Life happens, things change, the industry changes. So rather than waiting, is to take the action, do what you need to do in order to at least figure out, is this what I want? Or is this the right path for me?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I hear you, because there's almost, we had a guest on a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Crawford. You remember Mr. Crawford that used to teach?
I don't think so. I went to
Herbert Crawford.
Tennessee. I went
That's
to
right. Okay, so
Tennessee.
Mr.
So yeah.
Crawford was a principal of. By the way, we have another fellow author who has come on to say hi,
Oh,
Miss
Joshua.
Elke. That's John.
Hey.
Because
Hey,
Josh
Josh.
is another really prolific writer. He's got a lot of
Yes.
work on, and I do have a plan for you to get onto this show very soon, sir. But Mr. Crawford was telling us about how he actually did all of his books self-published. So he does devotionals, and so
Mm.
he will go on Fiverr and get someone to
Mhm.
format his book and someone to do his design. And I think he even finds editing, but I think he does most of his editing himself. Amazing stuff. Like we live
Mhm.
in such an age where that is possible now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, even in the 15 years that I've been in the industry, it's just so much has changed, and it's so much,
Yeah.
and I use this word loosely, easier than
Yeah.
it used to be
It's just,
before.
yeah, because it's just more of it scattered now. So it's
Yes,
more, the volume is the hard part, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm finding on Substack, there's a lot of invitations or information about querying and who to query to.
Mhm.
But I'd love to hear. Um, so there's theories on how to start off. You start off with, there's always a suggestion that you start off with like short stories
Mm,
and have them published in magazines, etc.
mm.
And Josh says, "Okay, okay, great. Don't worry, you're on my list. Don't worry." But there's start off with short stories, start off with magazines, start off with
Mm.
all of these different types of submission and scattering. What is your position on that? Like, how do you start with your big masterpiece of a book, or what do you do to get out into the world?
You know what? That's a very good question. I will share my experience. Now,
Yeah,
I
of
say
course.
kudos. I give high props to those people who can do short stories, because that is not me. I tried to do short stories, the same thing, people were saying, take this route. It was a disaster. Like, I could not do it. Like, I tried to write, what was it, 1,500 to 3,000 words for an article.
Oh
It ended
man.
up being something like 10,000 words. And
Mhm,
it just wasn't a good fit for me.
mhm,
But
mhm.
I do know authors that's the route that they take.
Yeah.
And it worked out well for them. And I think it's another really good learning experience, like understanding how to pitch,
Mhm,
because pitching as well is an art in itself. It's
mhm.
not just, oh, this is a place I want to publish and I'm just going to send it off. It's a matter of diving deep. What are they looking for? Who do I
Yeah.
contact? What are their expectations for me as an author or pitching? So that is a really good experience as well too. And I think it really boils down to, is that a direction that you want to go? Is
Yeah.
that is that a skill? Like, some people are amazing at writing short stories, but just struggle to write a full book. And if
Mhm.
that is a direction, or if that's sort of the niche that you fit in, I say go for it. Absolutely. It's a great way to get your foot in the door. And like I said, build up some skills, and even perhaps eventually lead you to being able to write your own book. It makes for great connections as well too, and opens up doors for opportunities. It's great as a byline as well too, to say, hey, I was published in, this magazine or that magazine. It every little bit helps. And like I said, I would encourage you, absolutely, if that is something that you're good at.
It's like building a CV, building a resume, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I hear you. I would struggle with it. I noticed that my format, I do really well with poetry because I think in poetry sometimes, a lot actually. Yeah. But I don't do well with short stories. I know it's a skill that it's like a
Mhm.
muscle to build, but some
Yeah.
people are just built for it, built for that short story. Yeah. So I have a lot of questions about your writing in particular, but I
Sure.
think this is now a good time for us to take a quick break
Okay.
and kind of hear a little bit about one of our sponsors. This Valentine, trust your lady's pleasure to the people who understand the connection between the perfectly fitted bra and the crystals we put inside them. Vi's Closet voted best in Cayman for 2025. So quick note about Vi's. So Vi's is one of those places that is, and it's not just I will never probably advertise for people that I don't vouch for personally.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those places that has so many little cool things about it. So, and we're going to talk about your writing and talk about spice and all of those other things, right? But
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I loved about them is that they have taken the coziness of a space
Mm.
and added all the things that belong in there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And things that you would, unless you live like that, you don't
Mhm.
even connect these things.
Yeah.
So for they started out with just lingerie, and I mean they dressed me for my wedding. They helped me with my faja for my wedding and so on. I
Mm-hmm.
also was one of those people that needed a super chain, like a super big cup. So until I had surgery, so they have like A to K type cup range. So they have this huge, really wonderful selection of high end lingerie,
Mm-hmm.
and they have journals.
Oh, wow. Of course.
Right? So that's my
Mm-hmm.
cozy spot, right? So and they also have really good robes. They have really good pajamas, and they
Mm-hmm.
also sell books, like local books. There's a local author who has her books there as well. But I love that they also got the connection between the crystals and your bra. Because I don't know if are you a crystal person, Elke?
I am, but I'm not a person who puts them in their bra. I'm more of I wear them around. To
Yeah,
be honest,
you
I've never
have
heard
those
that
as well.
before. I
No,
wear them around my
seriously.
wrist or a necklace. I keep them by, my bed, for energy clearing when I'm meditating, things like that. But
Uh-huh.
I've never, other than wearing them as jewelry, I've never had them in my bra. So that's a
It's
new one.
so
I'll have to try that.
funny. I remember there used to be memes about this, like when you go to take a shower and you just hear boom, 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 all the stones hitting the floor because you forgot you had them in your.
Oh, that is hilarious.
But I mean, they've done some really cool stuff, and I'm so grateful for their support because they get it. They get
Mm-hmm.
that cozy space, that really
Yeah.
sacred space that is and it's also where I read. But I wanted to talk a bit about your writing, your actual writing, not just how you write, but first of all, what is your writing life like? Not just the business of it, but what gets you into the mood and what gets you going?
Right now, I am in the middle of writing the third book in my series. So, whenever I'm writing in a book, yes, I write every day. I'm trying to build a habit of writing every day as much as possible. But
Mhm,
let's face it, life doesn't always allow for that. But
mhm,
that's kind of where I'm at. So, I get up at 5 is usually when I'm up. Um, and then by 6, I'm sitting down to write,
mhm,
and I try to write for half an hour to an hour. And then I write at lunchtime. I eat for 30 minutes. I write at lunchtime. And
mhm.
then in the evenings as well, too, I try to get some business stuff done. And then I also try to squeeze in a half an hour of writing. So I try to, and to be honest, this is the same writing schedule that I had when I first started writing. And I
Mhm.
think it really works well for me. Now, when I'm not writing a book, which is usually not that often, I'm still either brainstorming or I'm focusing on things around my business and building my writing. and my books. But that is my writing life at the moment. As far as when I sit down to write, what I like to do, because I really struggle when I just sit down and just stare and just start writing, I do two things. One is I will take 5 minutes and sort of brainstorm what I'm going to write in the scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a tip that I have used for years, and it's a tip that I got from a book that I read, 2K to 10K.
Uh-huh.
Fabulous tips, fabulous book. And it really helped me to maximize my writing time because I do write in short increments. And that really helps me. I take 5 minutes. What's going to happen? Who? Yes, exactly. Scene, where is the scene happening? As much as I can put in it, it takes literally 5 minutes. And from that really helps me to just get those creative juices flowing. I dive in and I hit anywhere from 600 to sometimes 2,000 words. So that is my go-to. The other thing I do is if I know that one of the things I do is on the weekends, sometimes I'll go to the coffee shop and I will write for 2 to 4 hours at the coffee shop on the weekend if I'm really falling behind and I need to catch up. And what I do on the drive there is I will start basically brainstorming in my head. What am I going to write? What is the scene about?
Yep.
Those kind of things. So that's really, I would say, the thing that kind of works best for me when I'm writing.
We're getting quite a lot of comments coming in as well. The balance is important. We got from AO. Good night. What words of encouragement would Miss Elke offer for an aspiring writer? We're going to get to that question. You jumping the gun, brother. Do you write directly as the inspiration comes or simply jot it down?
Oh, that's a good idea. I have tons of story ideas or characters that come to me all the time, and I wish I could run and get it. But I keep a little journal. It's my idea journal. And whenever I get an idea for a story or a character, I will jot it down in that book for later so that it's out of my head. So I don't lose that idea or that character, but then I don't let it interrupt focusing on what I'm writing right now, because I can tell you when I first started writing, I would start a gazillion books and never finish them because I'd be like, oh, this is a better idea, or this is a better idea. And I'm like, okay, yeah, guilty. So I make sure that I don't want to lose those inspirations, but I don't want it to take away from what I'm doing as well too. So hopefully that answered your question.
Well, yes, and I actually have more of a question because you just described like kind of plotting out, right? I'm going through this right now. I'm actually writing my first novel. Well, I started another one years ago, and I feel like the idea gave up on me because I was too slow. So I've been publishing bits of it on my Substack, like chapter by chapter. Like I've just published that out on and they're almost like short stories in and of themselves anyway. But now I'm writing this for the first time, and I'm using software that I've never used before, which I would love to hear your tips on software. But I've always been a pen writer, and then I would type it out, right? So that has been what I would normally do, but now I'm actually getting into typing directly, which is I think a skill that I needed to gain. But the plotting out of a book, you describe like kind of like plotting out your next step, but do you ever plot out the entirety of the book, or do you let it grow as you go?
Both, to be honest. I am a plotter and a pantster. I'm somewhere in between. And I actually have a very comprehensive outline structure that I use, and it's something that I used to share with clients as well too. And basically what it does is I have a premise for my book, then I have an idea, one or two sentences what the book is about, and then I break it into my characters, sketches, scene sketches, my story arc in the beginning of the book, the middle of the book, and the end of the book. I have it in 3 acts. That's kind of
okay, cool.
Right. Yeah. And then any scenes, settings, everything is, like I said, it's like 4 pages. And then within that, that's kind of what I use to help build it out. But at the same time, if I get ideas for scenes or I get the inspiration to sit and start typing and writing the book, then I will do that too. So, and then I use the outline as sort of a guide to help me so that as things come up that I need to know for the structure and the story, I can add that to the story without pulling away from moving forward with writing the book. So
That's
absolutely.
the priority, right? You don't ever want to interrupt your flow. That's what I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Absolutely.
you're writing, you never want to stop that. You just want to get that going.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Clear. Okay, cool. But why romance? What got you into romance?
Um, that's so funny. It's kind of one of those things. It's been so long that I don't remember the exact specific point. But what I can tell you is that I actually started reading. I was a voracious reader when I was a voracious reader when I was a kid. I loved Nancy Drew. Mysteries like were my favorite. Like
Yeah.
I absolutely love them. And then somewhere along the line, I discovered historical romances. I think I was probably too young,
Mhm.
like 13 or 14.
Oh, we always get them before we should.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm a little bit of a history buff as well too, so I actually love the history element of it. So I got into reading historical romances. Actually, that's kind of what opened the door for me.
Yeah.
And I slowly creeped into romantic suspense. And when I decided I wanted to write, all of my first story ideas were all historical romances. So it is actually hilarious
Mm.
that I am writing romantic suspense.
Yes.
Modern and not historical, yeah. But it's kind of one of those things. I got bitten by the bug, and it just stuck, and I love it.
But do you notice, and I'm curious about this. Look at this. She's a history buff too.
Yeah.
Swoop. Alfred and I are both deep into our history stuff as
Yeah.
well. But I love Raya. So you actually do some kind of like paranormal type, supernatural, psychic. There's ghosts in your books.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that because I don't feel like we get enough of that kind of whimsy, right? Even though it's not always bright and light. It's
Mm-hmm.
there's that still that imaginative piece to it.
Yeah.
But it's funny that you say you started with historical romance because this was going to be a question that I had for you, which is that I'm noticing with the writers that I speak with that what you read is not always what you write,
Very
right?
true.
So
Very true.
what you write, what you have to, what is there for you to create is actually adding something to the space rather than the thing that you are consuming. So I'm curious about what got you into that specific type of like, because I think you're into some supernatural stuff, right? Was it Dangerous Families? Is that the one you're working on now?
No.
That's the one you
The
closed out
one
before, right?
Yes, it is. Deadly Family. Yeah.
Deadly Families.
Yes,
Deadly. Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
The series that I'm writing now is more of a contemporary romance, but it has psychic elements. Like all of my main characters have what I call like a psychic or a spiritual gift. Like in the first book, she has prophetic dreams. And in the second book, he's an empath. And then on the third book, which is the one I'm writing now, the main character, she has a couple of gifts. She's a empath on steroids. She can also, I don't like to use the word channel because that's not the right word. And she doesn't talk to dead people, but it's like she helps people connect with the people that have died in order for healing because she's a therapist.
Okay.
So, and I think I got the idea for that because I was listening to a podcast and with people who she is a quote unquote channeler. But what I found surprising is she doesn't talk to dead people like how you see on TV and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't like that at all. It's just sort of you get sort of messages that let you know that they're there. And let's face it, we've all had that where people that we know that have passed on that will send us signs like a bird or something that reminds us of them. And sort of that's the angle that I'm taking it, but from a place of healing. Because the book that I'm reading is really each one of the characters are sort of going on their own journey and using their gifts with the drama and the family drama. There's always that in my books. But it's also like, finding themselves and just being loved and accepted by as they are as a whole person, with the person that they're with and them loving them for who they are. So there are some psychic elements, but it's really more of a contemporary romance. But
Mm.
what I love about this series is that it's really sort of showing me how I can kind of weave that into something that's a little bit more suspense, which is what I
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I have got so many ideas. Like I brought back some of the characters from my other books in this last
Ooh.
one. Yes.
Okay, so you're weaving it in. That is
Yes.
wicked.
And then I'm kind of setting the stage for back to suspense and how the different characters can have different gifts and how that kind of flows in and with whether it's helping solve crime or just I'm just like exploring every kind of spiritual gifts and things that are sort of supernatural and paranormal that people have actually historically proven that they have these gifts. So I've in my research that really kind of opened the door for me for that, and in a way that I can add it the suspense element that I love with it. So, but yeah, I love the paranormal, historic, paranormal, just because I like to think that that's all available. There's so much that is available to
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
You know,
So it's
our
not
intuition,
fantasy.
all that. Yes, absolutely. Our intuition,
Yeah.
all those things that we just sort of take for granted or that we don't explore the way that we can, or we've been told we shouldn't explore. And I'm just like, forget you, I'm doing it. So
Yeah. But I love that it's so because we talked about this earlier. It's not quite fantasy because what you're speaking to is actually a part of lived human experience. Like this is the edges of what we know about ourselves that
yeah.
you actually incorporate into your work. And
Mhm,
one of the things that I loved about your work, because I remember reading it very early on
mhm.
when you were first writing, is that you do focus a lot on the well, there is a thread that goes through your work, which is about the healing, right,
Yes.
and about the acceptance and that the
Mhm,
resolution. And I
mhm.
find that there's a popularity right now with leaving people on a cliff in books. And I love that there's a tidying that you do. You know
Mhm,
who's good at that too? N.K. Jemisin. You know fantasy often doesn't, and well, fantasy
mhm.
always ends up at the end of a war or something, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But her endings are so incredibly tidy,
yeah.
right? Whereas Stephen King can't do it, he can't do an ending to save his life. He actually confesses that that is his biggest weakness. Like
Mhm.
he cannot do an ending to save his life. Like he gets
Yeah.
so stuck in his story, he don't know how to get out.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's a healing that you aim for,
Mm,
and I almost I feel like that's actually the mission of some of our authors. Like the
mhm,
authors, we need authors in this world who are bringing that almost like pathway to
mhm.
people. And I
Yeah,
wonder how much of that is like, what do you see as the, because that's one of the things I kind of like extrapolate onto you as a
mhm.
purpose for your writing.
Yeah.
What is it that you want the world to receive from your writing? If you were to sum it up and say 4 or 5 things,
Oof.
three, if
Um,
that
I
makes
think
it easier.
yeah, right. No, I think the biggest thing is that no matter how dark and things may seem that you just can't see your way out of, or that you just feel that you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. There always is.
Mhm,
Nothing ever stays the same, and that just because you're in this place now does not mean that you have to stay in that place or that you will be in that place later. I think that's one thing.
mhm,
I think the other thing is, you know, we can be in relationships where we are accepted as we are. And I don't mean that we're, nasty. I'm not talking about people who are psychopaths and all that. I'm just talking about like people who have had challenging lives that feel that they're broken and that no one is going to love them as they are. And the
mhm.
truth is that we're not really broken. Do we
Yeah,
need to make, yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Do we need to make changes in our lives to be the kind of people that we were meant to be, or that, we want to be? Absolutely. But are we like, is there anything really, really wrong with us? No, it's a journey. And
Mhm,
we can be loved and accepted as we are. and that there are people out there who will love us, whether that is your friend or a love interest or whatever, that can love and accept you for who you are
Mhm,
as a whole
mhm,
person, and that you can love yourself as you are while you're going through that journey. And I think that's probably the thing that I try to relay the most,
mhm,
because
mhm,
all of my characters are what I consider broken,
mhm,
horrible
mhm,
childhoods, crap has happened to them, but they, through the story, they find themselves and they journey through and they realize that they can accept themselves as who they are, and that yes, they can accept love from other people
mhm,
as well too. So I
mhm,
think that's probably those are some of the biggest things, I think, in my books that I would want people to get from. And obviously to be entertained and,
mhm, mhm, mhm.
chills and think, oh my God, what the heck is going on? You want them
Exactly, yeah.
on that ride as well too, obviously, right? We all like a good story. But I think at the core of it, that's it. And I think that just comes from my own personal journey and
Mhm.
realizing that and just wanting to share that and message with other people as well too. So
So what I hear from you there is not only is the healing a piece of it, but it's more of a becoming, right?
exactly.
I'm also hearing that you are lovable
Mm-hmm.
no matter where you are.
Yeah.
And I'm also hearing that we are not static. We are transforming. Like it's changing. There's a changeability and
Yes.
an agency to that. Is what
Yes.
you build into your work. So those are the things you would want for someone to walk away with
I
from your
agree.
book.
Yeah. Absolutely. You nailed it perfectly.
I love that because I feel like, well, first of all, I'm so proud of you because you're ours. We own you. You're definitely, and you've been doing this for so long, and you've been doing it so quietly and diligently. And when I say quietly and diligently, like you're not. You've always had such a grounded presence around your writing, and I feel like that's such a powerful thing to have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, and a courage to continue. Because I remember when you first went full time and how nerve-wracking that was for you, but you were so good and it happened, and we actually have comments coming in as well. But I, it
Yeah.
is such an inspiring story, and it's also really powerful to hear from you, um just how much you've had to navigate, because I don't think people realize just how much has changed since you started. Like you started in what, 2012,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And
2012.
yeah, so in 2012 we did not have TikTok.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Instagram was not a big thing. Like there was you have been entering into a world of this, like reaching your audience
Mm-hmm.
as the pieces were being built. It's almost like you were watching the bridge be built at the same time as taking the steps across the cliff. Like
Yeah.
this is huge. Like this is I don't, we can't understate that journey, you know?
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
So what's next for you?
Ooh, finish this third book.
Yeah.
I have literally have a binder here, for my new series, because it's 10 story ideas. So I am eager to get started on that. So I
Mhm.
think finishing this, third book in the series, the second book is coming out next month on the 17th,
Ooh.
and that's Trouble with Empaths. So I'm really excited about that.
Uh-huh.
And writing this new series, I think, is what's it for me.
Okay.
Um, there's a few things that I want to do with my writing business, but I won't bore you with that. But
Or
um,
you can talk to me offline. That's fair.
yeah, exactly. But like you said, the bridge is being built, and I am, like everyone else, trying to keep up with it.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I think that's the biggest thing. And there's a lot of big things that I want to do in my career. And I'm excited to learn and to implement those. But the focus for me is still writing because I love it.
I hear you. And where can we find your work? Where can we find you? I'm gonna type
Um,
in your links and so on as we go.
Sure. I would not send you to my website because I'm in the middle of redoing it at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a dumpster fire, but you can find me on Amazon,
Okay.
Elke Feuer.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna
And
spell it for everyone so they can see it because you're certain. And you tell me if I did this right, Elkie.
yes, that's
No,
correct.
here we go. Right.
So if
So
you
we can
search
find you
Elke
on
Feuer,
Amazon, and we
yes,
can also find you on Goodreads as well. I noticed
you
that
can.
you're on Goodreads.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know some people are on Goodreads. I know a few people from Cayman that follow me. So I'm on there
Mm-hmm.
as well. So those are the two main areas. I'm on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, obviously, and I do share about my books on there, but so
Yeah.
that those are the
You
two
also
main
share
places.
about your writing journey on there, like how many pages you have left to
Yeah,
do, and I think the pulling your hair. I don't think people realize just how like excruciating this childbirth experience can
yeah.
be. But you've been sharing it every step of the way, and it's always good.
Oh well,
Always good to
that's
see.
good because I always wonder. I'm like, do people really want to know this? So thank you for letting me know that.
Oh no, it inspires me because then I need to sit my behind down and get some writing done too. Because Elke's doing it,
I know.
right? But you also do writing sprints. You used to do writing sprints. Do you still do that?
I don't actually. I participate in them now. Like I just
Mhm.
last year I did one with Autocrit, which is a editing software, and they
Okay.
also do courses, all those things online, and they have a 90-day challenge. Especially now that NaNoWriMo is no more.
Yes, that ended. Oh, that's
I
so sad.
couldn't believe it. I was in shock. I know, I know. I
I
use
was
that all the
gonna do it
time.
this year. Wow.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
anyway, so they have two that they do similar to NaNoWriMo's 90 days, which is great.
Mhm.
So the first 30 days you outline, the next 30 days you write, and then last 30 days you actually edit. So that has been eye-opening and really diving deep
Oh,
into areas
wow.
of my writing and publishing that I hadn't done before, or not writing and publishing, writing and editing and just
Editing.
outlining and just things that I hadn't thought about to dive a little deeper or to ask things in a different way. So
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. So I've been doing that. They do it twice a year. So that has been great.
Mhm.
As far as writing sprints, my writing sprints now are when I go to the coffee shop and write for 4 hours.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. So I have a couple of questions. Do you and this is just like your our fire round, but I'm
Sure.
gonna do this. I'm gonna add a couple because you're a writer. So
Mhm.
do you write with music or is it silence?
I write with music.
Okay. All right. What kind of music are we talking about?
It depends on what I'm writing.
Okay.
For my first book, it was all jazz.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay.
And then for more of my recent books, it's actually salsa music.
What?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Or sometimes if I'm need to really concentrate, I'll put on YouTube has a lot of focus music
Uh-huh.
videos.
That's what
So
I've
I will
been
put those
using.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that too.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Next question. Is it paper? Do you write like is it paper and pen or is it typing?
It is 99 or 95% typing.
Mhm.
But occasionally, if I need to sort of brainstorm, I will journal. I always keep a journal for each book that I'm writing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And about your reading life, fiction or
Ooh,
nonfiction?
you sure you want to know?
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Oh, when you say it like that, now I
Yes.
really want to know.
I used to read a lot of nonfiction books, to be honest,
Uh-huh.
just learning about the craft of writing and all that. But I've
Yeah.
kind of transitioned to online courses for a lot of what I'm trying to learn now in the industry.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
that I find dives a little deeper and it kind of provides support.
mhm.
So that's kind of my nonfiction that I'm reading right now. I have a couple others, but I haven't been reading them to be honest. I read more fiction these days. I find that I found a few authors that I really like. I am a huge mafia romance. I stumbled into that last year and I love it.
I
I
hear
found
you.
a couple of authors, one in Australia, and I can't remember where the other ones are, and a couple of romantic suspense authors as well, different. And one that was surprising was an author. She writes arranged marriages, which was a genre that I didn't, I was just like, who would want to read a arranged marriage? Love, love, love it.
That sounds interesting.
Yes, it's very different twist. It's not sort of, and she's actually Indian, but the way that she writes them is not what I would consider traditional, like,
It's real. There's more reality, more
yeah,
modern. Okay,
exactly.
fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, that sounds
And they're
really good.
fantastic, amazing, and then,
Listen, you
some
need
of
to
them,
send us some authors because I would love to put some of those books up.
yeah, no,
'Cause we
absolutely.
do book recs. We do book recs almost on a weekly basis. So please feel free to send us some authors.
I will.
Your historical fiction that you used to like
Mhm.
any authors that you can remember off the
Yes,
historical
there is
romances?
one that I discovered, and I'm hoping I'm saying her name right. Mariah Stone.
Mhm, mhm. I don't know. I don't know
She
her.
writes historical romance, and
Mhm.
I, like you said, the ad kept popping up, and they show the little clips of the book, and I clip on it, and I thought, I haven't read one of these in a while. Let
Yeah.
me read one, and I absolutely loved her. I
Really?
binged. I'm like waiting on with bating breath for her next book to come out.
Okay,
She's writing
good.
a
Well, that's a
second
good one.
series. Yeah, and what I love about her books is her heroes are not what I remember reading as historical romance. They're very sort of, they're broken, and they're just these men that just they're not sort of your typical alpha hero kind of thing. They're
Mhm.
strong, don't get me wrong, but they basically change themselves and become better men for their women.
Okay, which is everyone's dream.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. That's what we want, right?
Everyone's dream. For
Yes. And it's
secret
just
fantasies,
so,
guilty pleasures.
yeah. And you just see how these men, and you really get to see inside their head, and, where they're coming from, and their
Oh.
journey from being, coming off of these complete, excuse my language, a-holes,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
just
Don't let me
morphing
curse here.
into,
It's 8 o'clock.
meeting. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But
And
you're
just,
good.
yeah, and just meeting these women that challenge them, that are strong, and that are just like not putting up with their crap,
Yeah.
and
Got it.
they're just realizing, wow, if I want to be with this woman, if I want to win her heart, I have to be a better man, and I want to be a better man. That I've never read that in historical romances before. I've read it in mafia romances, believe it or not.
I
Um,
believe that. I can
yes,
see that. And
yeah.
werewolf and mafia, I kind of expect to be very I don't know why that is. Vampires, werewolves, and mafia bosses. I can see that being similar.
Yes.
Like that alpha
It's funny you
powerful
say
thing,
that.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And yeah, and there's a couple of not what I would consider erotica, but
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
Author that I found, same thing with just these characters, and just working through just the struggle and all these things, and just chef's
Mhm.
kiss. And the best part about it is, I think with a couple of the writers that I found, what I loved most was their style of writing. Just, oh, for me, when I can be a slow reader sometimes,
Mhm,
because
mhm.
I am reading and dissecting and
Yes.
looking how they
Yeah.
structure the wording they
Yes.
use. And I'm
Yes.
like, oh, I never thought of saying it that way or doing it that way. Now, I
Oh,
never remember it when I'm actually sitting down to write, but
a pencil and some post-it notes. That is what I am
exactly.
learning.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so
Um,
good.
Yeah, but I think that that's sort of what I am enjoying reading right now.
Mhm.
So it's kind of
Yeah.
outside of my usual, but I found some amazing authors last year, and I just devoured, like, this month, four of my new favorite authors, just all published books, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to finish this book. How am I going to finish
Well,
this book?
you and I need to hang out right after this
And
because I need to get lists of stuff to put
yeah,
out. But I want to thank you so much for coming on here.
no,
It has been such a
absolutely.
good conversation, and you have given us so much gold. Our audience has been super engaged, and I'm so happy that they got the value of it as well because you are like this treasure trove of information. I'm so grateful to have you. Thank you for coming.
No, absolutely. It was my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. I had so much fun.
Anytime, you'll be back. I can tell.
Yeah.